Yo, what's good, YouTube? In today's video, I'm gonna give you guys my top 5 meta loadouts you guys need to be using. If y'all enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like for the algorithm, subscribe, notifications turned on, and let's get into it. Hopping into it here for our first gun, we're gonna be going over the D tier 30. This is the #1 meta AR in Warzone, and today they did patch it so it does not have as much muzzle flash, muzzle smoke. You can use the literal default variant instead of having to use a black cell pass variant in order to not get that muzzle flash, that smoke. So this is going to be really awesome. So let's hop into the build for it. First thing, muzzle, we're going to go through on, of course, the quartermaster suppressor. This is standard, try and true. We run the quartermaster on all of our builds. So that's going to stay true for this one. Definitely we still want to run the quartermaster. After that, we're going to go into the barrel section and we're going to throw on the extend 10 long barrel. This is still going to be the best barrel in there for it. Bullet velocity and range, damage range, and movement speed. Pretty awesome, and it does not really have hardly any cons minus some like overall hip fire stuff. We don't really care about that. You're not hip firing ever with the D tier. This is truly your long range weapon exclusively, so that's really all we care about for that. After we're going to go down here to the magazine section, we're going to go throw on the 40 round mag. This is what we've been running. No reason to ever not run the 40 round mag, even though it doesn't have the world's fastest fire rate. It is still beneficial for you guys to go ahead and run that 40. After that, optic section, we're going to throw on the Jack Glassless, but this is, I will tell you guys, one of those guns where you can run the Jack Glassless. My bad, my controller is kind of glitching out right there, but we can either run the Jack Glassless, or what you guys can do is go down here a little bit further and throw on a bit of a heavier optic, a longer optic, which is going to be the Choreo Eagle Eye 2.5x. In my opinion, I think the Choreo actually works beautifully for this. I've dropped some nice high kill gameplays with it, so between the Choreo Eagle Eye or the Jack Glassless, you realistically can't go wrong. Then of course, for our last attachment, we have the stock, which is going to be the Rifleman 200 stock. And this is going to be pretty much the move here on this thing. So don't think you guys need to run any other underbarrel, anything else like that. But I will show you guys a nice little interesting bit here on this gun. So you can actually not run the sight on here. You can go down to ammunition. And you can even throw on the high grade rounds if you want to run the iron sights, because the iron sights are pretty clear. And with there being no sort of like muzzle flash on it now, or like hardly any, it makes it actually viable and usable to be able to use that. So you guys can run that, or you can take that off and run an optic, totally up to you. Next up, to pair your overall gun with basically the best one, we have the best primary. Now we're gonna go for the best secondary, which is of course the static HV. There's a couple of ways to build this, but overall they're going to be largely the same. So let's get in here to give you guys the most optimal best build. First thing is of course going to be the quartermaster. We're staying running that. No reason to switch it up. Go for the quartermaster. After that, barrel section, throw on the Auger 840 light barrel. You guys definitely want to be running this. It's just going to make you faster, you know, just be able to run around, speed around. I mean, obviously that's one of the big benefits to running the static, apart from having a nice damage profile, great, you know, recoil control. It does have great mobility, making it like an all-around great SMG, meaning that it is definitely the #1 SMG in the game. A lot of the other SMGs lack some sort of, you know, thing in them, but this doesn't really lack hardly anything at all. Definitely not in the movement department. After that underbarrel section, we're gonna throw on the Jack Slash. This is gonna be just, you know, the underbarrel you want to choose for this thing to give you more movement speed, sprint speed, and of course have vertical recoil. Sometimes the static will kick up a little bit. I'm sure a lot of you guys have noticed that if you run something else like, let's say, the DR6 or the XRK Edge or even the paracord grip, you'll definitely notice that. Those are definitely the other options. You can run, like I said, the XRK Edge, the DR6, or you can go over here and run the paracord grip. This is going to be a little bit more personal preference on this attachment, but a lot of the World Series of Warzone guys that were, you know, obviously winning $1 million, the top trio, you know, that won the $1 million, they're running the Jack Slash. So I've just been kind of sticking with it here on my build as well. Now we're going to go up to the optic section, and there's pretty much 2, 3, 4 options in here. You can run the Jack Glassless, which is pretty standard. A lot of us love running the Jack Glassless on a variety of our guns. It's so nice that it works just perfectly for anything, you know, close, medium, long range. It works out great for that. So you can run the Jack Glassless, or you can go down here. And something I personally like to do is run the Night Hour Model 2023. I find this to be a fantastic sight, and it's just my preference of running an optic on this thing. But no one's to stop you from running the MK3 reflector, Night Hour, this Caucasus, Reflex, whatever you want to call that thing, or even something like, you know, the Corona Mini Red Dot, or even something like the Slate Reflector. No one's going to stop you from it. It's not going to make or break the build. Just a little personal preference on what you want to be able to run. Lastly, stock section, we're going to go through on the Spry 34 light stock. In my opinion, I believe this is the best stock in here. You're trying to go for a straight up movement build, which I've done before. No stock, I've done that. It's actually pretty wicked. So it's pretty cool when you actually have the no stock on there. It looks nice, especially when you have the iron sights, but the Spry 34 light is going to be your move. And this is going to be your full static meta build. Now I want to kind of mix this up a little bit and give us a build here for the Kar 98K. So this is still basically your #1 meta sniper rifle. The XRK Stalker does come in there and actually does relatively tie it in terms of damage range, but the Kar 98 has better mobility, so a lot more people opt to go for the Kar 98 over something like the XRK Stalker. So we'll give you guys the build for here that's going to be the best possible damage range and still give you great mobility. First thing, of course, we're not going to go for the Quartermaster because you definitely don't want to do that. You're trying to find the suppressor that's going to give you the most amount of damage range, which is going to be, I believe it's going to be this, the Colossus suppressor. No, it's the Sonic Suppressor L, my bad. So this is going to give you the most amount of bullet velocity and your minimum and your maximum damage range boost. So you want to run this. We don't really care about that recoil. It's a bolt action thing. It's not like it's fully automatic. We don't care about losing a little bit of recoil. We just want the farthest possible damage range, and the Sonic Suppressor will do that for us. At that barrel section, we're going to go in here and throw on the 7.62 long barrel. Not even going to try to pronounce that first word right there. Not going to go for it. But the bullet velocity and damage range is huge on this. Gives you a nice 12, and 15% increase. Where you see the effective damage range up there, that's 65.7. That's what you're trying to get out like as far as possible, because that means you get the farthest one-shot kill potential. Obviously, it's going to be like a headshot one-shot up to that, you know, longest range, and then of course you can get some body shots, or if they don't have plates, you can get them in, you know, the torso, something like that. But overall, you want to extend that out as much as possible, and having a faster bullet velocity does make a very big difference since you're shooting one bullet at a time. Skip the underbarrel section, go down to the ammunition. We're gonna go throw on the 7.92 high grade rounds. This boosts us out another 15% across the board, and this right here is going to give you the farthest possible distance you can hit a one-shot headshot, which is 75.6 meters. Pre-nerfs to the Kar 98 is basically like 85, 87, so it was a little bit better, but even still, especially if you're playing like Rebirth Island, you know, Vondel, something like that, or Vondel, whatever you want to call it, this is going to be your move, and you want to run the high grades. Now going into the optics section, we're just going to hit that left a couple of times because we have to go all the way down to the very end, so we're not going to bother scrolling through that. We have two options in here. Basically, the range collar V3.4, which is the base Kar 98K from Warzone 1 scope. This is my preference. I just like the way it looks, so if I'm going to use the Kar 98, I'm going to go ahead and run this. Otherwise, you can run the SPX 6.6 times, which probably will be a little bit better for those of you that want the traditional crosshair that's going to be very clear. 6.6 times, which you can go out to an 11 times, so it can help you at longer ranges. But overall, I just think the 7 times range collar is perfect. I'm not going to be shooting people at super ridiculously far distances. I'm trying to be relatively aggressive when I'm using the Kar 98. So 7 times is really all I need. So I'm going to go for that. And lastly, we're actually going to go down here into the slings. We're going to go down here. We're going to go throw on the target sling. Actually, I'm not throwing on the target sling, the tactical sling. This actually does mess with your aiming idle sway, so we don't want that. We just want this, the tactical sling, for sprint to fire speed and aim walking speed. We don't really care about that gun kick control, but we can take a look at some of the benefits here. While this does give you a 6%, it does mess with your aiming idle sway. This gives you a 9% on your sprint to fire speed. Since you're trying to be very aggressive, sprint to fire does matter. Your ADS speed's not going to be the absolute greatest, but it is a sniper rifle, so this is pretty fast overall for a sniper. So this is your full build right here. Next up, let's jump into a build here for the MTZ-556. This is a great AR with almost virtually no recoil. It's going to be like a meta AR with no recoil. I know you can make some of the other guns in the game, like the Kastovs, like the 7.62 and 5.45 with the conversion kit, have literally 0. But this right here is actually going to have virtually none for being an actual meta AR, because those are not. So first thing, of course, is the Quartermaster Suppressor. This is the move. Always want to run that. Barrel section, we're going to go through on the MTZ Clinch Pro barrel, not the Drifter Heavy Long barrel. We can take a look at the detailed statistics. Some people may look at that top, effective damage range number and see, oh, 52 meters. That's really good, and like it definitely is. But take a look at the bullet velocity at only being 825 meters per second, which is slower than the Clinch Pro barrel at 903 meters per second. And you have a 49.3 meter effective damage range. So keep this in mind. Your effective damage range, the most damage you're going to do, is farther out than basically every single other gun minus the Holger, and you don't need to go for that 52. It's not going to make a difference. You'd rather have the extra bullet velocity. That's going to make more of a difference than having like 2 to 3 extra meters in damage range. So go for this like 10 times out of 10. Under barrel section, we're going to stay true and run the Bruin Heavy Support Grip. Though, if you don't mind having a tad bit of extra recoil, as opposed to like when you're using the Bruin, it's going to be virtually none. If you don't mind having a little bit extra, you can go over here and run the paracord grip and make this a little bit faster of an assault rifle, because this is going to be a like an iron sight build, which I can show you guys how to not run the iron sights if you don't want to do that. But the paracord will work out very nicely. But for me personally, I just like running the Bruin heavy. Works out great. Magazine section, of course, you're going to throw on the 50 round mag. That's kind of what it is, so I'm not going to explain that. And lastly, in the stock section, we're going to go into here and we're going to throw on the MTZ Marauder stock, which is going to help with your recoil kick, your gun kick control, my bad, and your recoil control. Stumbling over my words, but this is the best one in here, giving you a nice 21, 8, and 8% across the board. So that's pretty awesome. This is my full build right here. But if you guys don't want to go ahead and run that, don't want to run the iron sights, go ahead into the optics section, just take off the stock and throw in the jack glassless, and that's going to be your other version of this build. Pretty simple. And for our final gun here today, I want to give you guys a build for the Ram 9, because this caught a pretty sizable buff within the update, and it makes it so much more fun and usable, and it's right up there in that meta slot that you guys can actually use it and still compete with your, your static, your super, because it's got the movement and it's got better damage range now, so you can have a lot of fun with it. It's not going to be the absolute fastest, but it's still going to be really solid. So muzzle, of course, we're going to go through on the quartermaster, just pretty standard, tried and true. Barrel section, since there's a couple of ways to run this, the best way I found is running it with the Armistice light barrel. This, in my opinion, is definitely going to be the best way. It gives you a lot of those benefits, those speed benefits, which we need to be able to keep up here in this game. So you guys definitely should be running that. The Armistice light barrel is the move. Underbarrel section, a couple options in here. I don't really recommend running the Jack Slash. Don't believe it to be all that great. I have run the XRK Edge, but because it's going to have a lot of strafe speed as is, you might find that with the iron sights in the XRK Edge, it may strafe a little bit like too much to the point where like it starts bouncing around the iron sight. So that may not be as great. See, if that's the case, run the DR6 hand stop and you're not going to go wrong with that. So between the DR6, the XRK Edge, you can't go wrong. Run whatever you want, but I'm going to throw on the DR6. Magazine section, we're going to go throw on, of course, the 50 round mag. You guys should just be running the 50. I mean, it is what it is, so just go ahead and throw that bad boy on there. I mean, it's a 50 round mag. And then for our last attachment, a couple options in here. We can go for like a stock, which is still going to offer some good benefits here, like the ultralight stock. I mean, this messes with your recoil about 9%, so you guys can go ahead and run that. I mean, that'd be my thing. I'm going to go ahead and run is the ultralight stock. There is another option down in here in the comb section, I believe, where you can run like the recon comb, but it will mess with your ADS movement, but it does give you a nice kind of little boost to your sprint to fire in ADS speed. So it's kind of up to you guys what you want to be able to run in here. I mean, the rear grip section is not going to be the move, but the stock for me, I'm just going to go in here and run the motion, or my bad, the ultralight pad. This will give me the most amount of benefits I'm looking for. It's all green behind my face cam. Unfortunately, nothing on the ADS speed and sprint to fire speed, but it does help you out otherwise. So this is going to be the full setup. Hope you guys enjoyed this top 5. If you guys did, be sure to give it a like for the algorithm. Subscribe so notifications turned on. Check out this other video on screen. I'll see you all next time.